Back then, his daughter had taken her little brother out to play somewhere, but by nightfall neither of them had returned home. Tae-su mobilized every officer at the station and searched the mountains for them. In the end, they found his daughter standing silently in the woods, covered in blood, while his son's body lay beneath a nearby cliff. His daughter refused to say a single word, and Tae-su once suspected that his own daughter was responsible. The tragedy eventually pushed his wife to take her own life, and from that moment on, his daughter never spoke to him again. Because of this, Tae-su always carried guilt toward his daughter deep inside his heart. One evening, Tae-su left work early to celebrate his daughter's birthday after not seeing her properly for a long time. But when he arrived at the cram school, he learned that his daughter had not attended classes for 2 months. He quickly called his daughter, but no one answered. Soon after, the police station contacted him, and only when he arrived did he learn what had happened. His daughter had gotten into a fight at a motel with 2 unfamiliar girls, and all of them accused one another of stealing a phone. Tae-su believed his daughter would never steal from someone else, but when he looked at his daughter's face, he became uneasy because it was the same expression his daughter always made whenever she lied. After bringing his daughter home, the girl showed no intention of explaining anything. Tae-su realized that because he had always been busy with work, he rarely paid attention to his daughter's life or studies. For years, he had failed to fulfill his responsibilities as a parent. He originally wanted to repair their relationship through the birthday celebration, but instead he felt he understood his daughter less and less. His daughter had skipped cram school for 2 months, fought with delinquent girls at a motel, and even lied about going to the library. Tae-su no longer knew how many secrets his daughter was hiding from him. As Tae-su prepared for his transfer to headquarters, he decided to pay closer attention to his daughter. When he suddenly heard a phone ringing from inside his daughter's school bag, he remembered the accusation at the police station about the stolen phone. His daughter was already holding one phone in her hand, so why was another one ringing inside the bag? Tae-su searched the bag and discovered a phone he had never seen before. His daughter claimed it belonged to a friend, but inside the phone there were no contacts or call logs, only a single suspicious transaction message. Until he could confirm where the phone came from, Tae-su confiscated it. What he did not expect was for his daughter to secretly take the phone back in the middle of the night. The next morning, Tae-su saw his daughter carrying a suitcase as if she were about to run away from home. After stopping her, he learned it was supposedly the day of the school graduation trip. Although Tae-su drove his daughter to school personally, the girl still left without saying a word. After returning home, Tae-su asked a colleague to retrieve subway surveillance footage connected to the stolen phone incident. The footage revealed that the real thief was an unfamiliar girl, meaning Tae-su had wrongly suspected his daughter once again. Early the next morning, someone discovered large amounts of blood inside an abandoned warehouse that had been deserted for years. No victim's body or murder weapon could be found nearby. Inside the warehouse, something important appeared to be missing, while outside there was a half-dug pit that looked like it was meant for burying a body. The killer seemed to have changed plans midway. Judging by the method, the murderer was clearly experienced. Because of the seriousness of the case, the police formed a special task force, and Tae-su requested to join the investigation. However, once he arrived at the scene, he realized the case was far more complicated than expected. The killer was extremely skilled and had left behind almost no evidence apart from the pool of blood. Logically, such a careful murderer should never have left so much blood behind unless something unexpected had happened that prevented them from cleaning it up in time. Tae-su also suspected that the missing item from the warehouse had been taken away to destroy even more important evidence. That night, Tae-su suddenly dreamed that his daughter had come to the warehouse and even entered the abandoned building. He woke up in shock. Ever since his daughter supposedly left for the graduation trip, Tae-su had been unable to contact her. Looking through their chat history, he saw that the messages were all from himself, while his daughter never replied once. Later that day, the school called and informed Tae-su that his daughter had never joined the graduation trip and had not attended school at all. The news stunned him completely. So if his daughter never went on the trip, where had she gone? At that moment, one of his subordinates called with new information. The SIM card inside the mysterious phone found in his daughter's bag was connected to a scam number. Tae-su rushed back to his room and opened the drawer where he had hidden the phone, only to discover it was gone. He ordered his team to continue tracking the phone's location. Meanwhile, the police discovered a burned car not far from the abandoned warehouse. The vehicle looked as though it had made a sharp turn before crashing into a tree, and beneath the tree were signs that someone had fallen there. At that moment, Tae-su received a message saying the mysterious phone had finally been tracked. But when he checked the location, he was shocked to discover that the phone's last active position was the exact place where he was currently standing. Could his daughter really have been at the crime scene? Thinking about the pool of blood inside the warehouse, fear slowly crept into his heart. He immediately asked for the victim's blood type, then secretly cut his own palm and poured his blood into a test tube before driving to the forensic lab. Meanwhile, officers searching the scene discovered a red thread-like object inside the tree trunk nearby. It was very likely something left behind either by the victim or the killer. Just as Tae-su anxiously waited for the test results, the hospital suddenly called him. When he rushed there and saw his daughter sitting safely beside a hospital bed, he finally relaxed. But not long after, his suspicions returned once again because evidence showed that his daughter really had been near the crime scene at the time of the murder. Whenever his daughter entered her room, she always paused at the doorway to carefully observe everything. Unknown to Tae-su, she had secretly set up 2 traps on the door. Strangely, this time the lower trap remained untouched while the upper one had been disturbed. This meant that whoever entered the room noticed the paper hidden in the door crack, but failed to realize there was another trap above it. The 2 traps had been created solely to confirm whether her father had entered the room. The reason Tae-su searched her room was because, 2 days earlier, a huge pool of blood had been discovered inside the abandoned warehouse in the forest. At the scene, police found a red string and also a burned vehicle nearby. After checking surveillance footage, investigators discovered that the burned car had been rented by a young girl. Tae-su immediately noticed that the clothes the girl wore looked very similar to his daughter's. Combined with his daughter's recent strange behavior, he could not stop worrying, which was why he secretly entered her room searching for clues. Unfortunately, he found almost nothing except for a locked drawer whose contents remained unknown. At that moment, his daughter returned home, forcing him to leave quickly and place the paper trap back where it belonged. What Tae-su did not realize was that his daughter had intentionally created 2 traps. Still, Tae-su was not completely empty-handed. As his daughter entered the room, he accidentally noticed that the red accessory hanging from her school bag looked identical to the red thread discovered at the crime scene. Just when Tae-su began suspecting that his daughter was connected to the case, police identified the girl who rented the car through another surveillance camera. Her name was Song Min-ah, a delinquent with multiple arrests for theft. Tae-su immediately recognized her as the same girl who had falsely accused his daughter of stealing a phone at the motel. The next day, police tracked Song Min-ah withdrawing cash from an ATM. Unexpectedly, the person they caught was a man instead. As the investigation deepened, police discovered that the man was actually the mastermind behind Song Min-ah's theft and extortion schemes. However, the man stubbornly insisted that he did not know Song Min-ah and had no idea where she was. Tae-su later visited the house where the man had been arrested. The landlady explained that she had simply rented out the room and knew nothing about the tenant downstairs. But Tae-su noticed bruises on her body that looked like signs of long-term abuse. The woman tried to hide them and claimed she had merely fallen accidentally, yet Tae-su's years of experience told him those injuries were not recent. Soon afterward, police discovered another important clue. Song Min-ah had uploaded pictures of diet pills she purchased online, and those same pills also contained medication used to treat diabetes. Earlier, investigators had already detected diabetic medication in the victim's blood. Until now, everyone believed Song Min-ah was the killer, but no one had considered the possibility that she herself might actually be the victim. At the same time, another police team claimed they had captured Song Min-ah. But when the suspect was brought in, Tae-su realized they had actually arrested Song Min-ah's regular drug supplier instead. It turned out the supplier had been using Song Min-ah's bank card to withdraw money. From him, Tae-su learned that after everyone left the police station that night, Song Min-ah went home normally. However, the next day she realized her phone was missing. After calling the number, they discovered the phone was in the possession of Tae-su's daughter. She even promised to return it to them. Song Min-ah then went to meet Tae-su's daughter, and from that day onward, she disappeared completely. Tae-su suddenly remembered the blue phone he had discovered inside his daughter's bag. Could that phone really belong to Song Min-ah? And if so, why did his daughter have it? The entire case was beginning to move far beyond Tae-su's understanding. It reminded him of the tragedy from decades ago, the incident that once drove him to the point of believing his own daughter had pushed her younger brother off the cliff. That suspicion became the reason for the emotional distance between them. His daughter had secretly entered his office at the police station while he was away to check the progress of the investigation. After returning home, she even burned the red accessory hanging from her bag. Originally, Tae-su only intended to learn more about his daughter's life at school, but he unexpectedly discovered that the missing female student from the school was somehow connected to his daughter. As he slowly peeled away the layers of lies surrounding her, long-buried secrets began surfacing one after another. The police suddenly came to his house wanting to investigate why his daughter had appeared in the forest on the night of the murder. Tae-su originally had no intention of opening the door. After all, there was indeed suspicion surrounding his daughter. Earlier that day, Tae-su noticed that the red keychain hanging from her school bag had disappeared. He also remembered hearing that she had visited his office while he was away, making him suspect that she had secretly read the case files on his desk. That was likely why she destroyed the red pom-pom accessory from her bag. However, Tae-su knew that destroying evidence would only make the police suspect her even more. But just as he turned away, his daughter suddenly opened the door herself. They explained the reason for their visit. This time, Tae-su could no longer protect his daughter. Ha-bin explained that she had never gone to the abandoned warehouse on the night of the murder. Instead, she claimed that Song Min-ah had stolen her phone a week earlier, meaning the person seen at the warehouse that night might have been Song Min-ah rather than herself. To convince the police she was telling the truth, Ha-bin said she had spent the entire night with her boyfriend, Soo-hyun. However, Ha-bin's story completely contradicted the statement given by Song Min-ah's associate. So who was actually telling the truth? After the police left, Tae-su questioned his daughter again about the phone found in her bag. Since she refused to admit anything, he decided to visit the school and meet the mysterious boyfriend, Soo-hyun, who had suddenly appeared in her life. But Soo-hyun also claimed that he had stayed with Ha-bin the entire night and that neither of them had left the room. Tae-su then showed him a photo of Song Min-ah, but Soo-hyun insisted he did not recognize her. Later, Tae-su ran into Ha-bin's teacher at school and learned that his daughter had actually known Soo-hyun for over a year. The teacher explained that Soo-hyun came from a poor family, and Ha-bin had even supported him with her scholarship money. According to the teacher, Soo-hyun was also a kind student who once gave a small keychain as a Teacher's Day gift. Tae-su felt it seemed strangely familiar. Meanwhile, the investigation into his daughter progressed at the police station. Surveillance footage revealed that on the night of the murder, Ha-bin entered a hotel and never came out until the following morning, when she left together with Soo-hyun. Tae-su visited the hotel room they had stayed in, but unfortunately there were no cameras near the window side. Since the room was on the third floor, sneaking out unnoticed would not have been easy. Although the investigation results were exactly what Tae-su had hoped for, some people at the station began losing trust in him because he had concealed the fact that his daughter was connected to the case. Ha-bin remained unusually calm and suddenly suggested that she accompany him during his transfer to headquarters, almost as if she wanted him to give up the investigation altogether. Bringing his daughter with him to headquarters had always been Tae-su's wish. Just then, Tae-su received a call from an unfamiliar number. While investigating the hotel earlier, he had noticed a parked vehicle near the back entrance and casually left his business card there, hoping for information. Unexpectedly, the car's dashcam had captured evidence showing Ha-bin secretly leaving the hotel that night. Tae-su immediately confronted Soo-hyun again, presenting the footage and demanding to know whether Ha-bin had gone to meet Song Min-ah that night. But to his surprise, Soo-hyun appeared genuinely confused. He claimed not to know Song Min-ah, Choi Young-min, or any of the other people involved in the case. Could Soo-hyun simply have been used as a pawn? Soo-hyun then explained that he had only recently transferred schools and had known Ha-bin for just a few days. This completely shocked Tae-su because earlier that same day, Ha-bin's teacher told him that Soo-hyun and his daughter had been extremely close for over a year. Late that night, Tae-su returned to the teacher to clear up the confusion. Only then did he discover the truth. There were actually two students named Soo-hyun in Ha-bin's class. The one close to Ha-bin was a girl named Lee Soo-hyun. Ha-bin usually kept to herself at school, but she was especially close with Lee Soo-hyun. About a year ago, Lee Soo-hyun suddenly disappeared without explanation. When the teacher visited her home, Soo-hyun's father said she had gone missing. Tae-su later visited the girl's home and saw overdue bills piled outside the entrance. Inside lived only a middle-aged man, apparently Soo-hyun's father. He explained that Ha-bin frequently contacted his daughter. Whenever Ha-bin called, Lee Soo-hyun would immediately leave the house to meet her, and every time she returned home she looked completely exhausted. He had no idea what the two girls were doing outside together. After returning home, Tae-su did not ask Ha-bin about Lee Soo-hyun. Instead, he simply stated that he would never leave until the real killer was found. Strangely, Ha-bin smiled happily after hearing those words. Meanwhile, another girl spent her days visiting storage lockers at different shopping malls, repeatedly trying the same password. It was not because she forgot where she stored something. She was trying to steal millions of won hidden inside someone else's locker. She knew the owner of the money was already dead, and if she quietly took the cash, she could instantly become rich. Eventually, after countless attempts, she finally located the correct locker and successfully took all the money inside. However, she did not intend to keep it for herself. Instead, she planned to deliver the money to a man named Choi Young-min. But the moment Choi Young-min arrived at the station, he found himself surrounded by police officers. Earlier, while investigating the murder case, police had rounded up all the delinquents who usually associated with Song Min-ah and interrogated them one by one. Surprisingly, almost everyone gave the exact same statement, saying that Song Min-ah deserved what happened to her. Only one girl named Eun-jin revealed that all of them worked under Choi Young-min. She even overheard him once saying that he wanted to kill Song Min-ah. The police had already suspected Choi Young-min, so even after releasing him, they secretly kept him under surveillance. However, when officers later returned to his rented apartment, they discovered the place completely empty. Both the front and back doors were locked from the inside, leaving everyone confused about how he had escaped. In reality, Choi Young-min had been hiding upstairs inside the landlord's home, protected by the landlady herself. Choi Young-min successfully escaped, but he desperately needed to find out where the large amount of money she possessed had gone. Left with no choice, he tracked down one of Song Min-ah's associates and learned that she had hidden the money inside a storage locker. However, he did not know the password, nor did he realize the money had already been taken away. At that moment, an unknown person suddenly sent him a photo of a bag stuffed full of cash, along with a message telling him to come to the subway station if he wanted the money back. But when Choi Young-min arrived at the station, he instead found himself surrounded by police officers. Meanwhile, Tae-su rushed back to the police station after receiving the news. But just then, someone anonymously reported him for accepting bribes. For some reason, Tae-su suddenly remembered the strange things his daughter had said earlier that morning. During the few minutes he was delayed, Choi Young-min was released once again due to insufficient evidence for murder. By the time Tae-su returned, Choi Young-min had already disappeared. At the same time, the forensic results for the red pom-pom keychain finally came back. The keychain was confirmed to have come from his daughter's school bag. Before Ha-bin burned the original accessory, Tae-su had secretly swapped it with an identical one he bought himself. The lab results revealed that the fibers from the pom-pom perfectly matched the red fibers discovered at the murder scene. Even more shocking, another victim's DNA was also found on the red pom-pom. About a month earlier, police had discovered the decomposed remains of a young girl buried in the forest near the abandoned warehouse. At the time, investigators could not determine the victim's identity or understand why she had been buried there. But now, the red pom-pom connected both cases together. This meant that before Song Min-ah's murder, there had already been another victim. In other words, the police were likely dealing with a serial killer. The realization left Tae-su dizzy because it reminded him of the missing girl from his daughter's school. That girl had spent every day wandering through the forest collecting bags of money hidden beneath trees marked with red ribbons. One day, out of curiosity, she asked a gang leader where all the money came from. But he warned her not to ask unnecessary questions and simply take her payment for running errands. Things continued like that until the beginning of the next spring, when the marked locations suddenly stopped containing money. The girl reported this to the gang leader, but he accused her of secretly stealing the cash and brutally beat her. As it turned out, the gang leader's suspicions were correct. The girl had become greedy and secretly transferred the money into storage lockers. But she never imagined that decision would ultimately lead to her death. Unknown to her, Ha-bin had witnessed everything. In order to get closer to Song Min-ah, Ha-bin deliberately helped cover up the stolen phone incident. Song Min-ah then brought Ha-bin back to the hotel where she was staying. She wanted to uncover the secret Song Min-ah was hiding. At the hotel, Ha-bin intentionally caused a scene by exposing all the stolen phones Song Min-ah possessed and threatening to call the police. During the chaos, she secretly kicked Song Min-ah's phone beneath the bed. Because of the argument over the phones, everyone was eventually brought to the police station. The next day, Ha-bin returned to the hotel, retrieved the hidden phone from under the bed, and secretly installed tracking software on it. Only then did she begin carrying out what looked like her real murder plan. Using the excuse of returning the phone, Ha-bin arranged to meet Song Min-ah. The meeting place was the same forest area where Song Min-ah used to collect the hidden money, and also the place where Lee Soo-hyun's remains were later discovered. However, Ha-bin never expected her father to test the keychain from her school bag. That single piece of evidence connected Lee Soo-hyun to the case, proving she was another victim who died before Song Min-ah. Tae-su became convinced that his daughter was the killer. He even urged her to turn herself in voluntarily so he could still protect her within the limits of his power. But Ha-bin had something more important she needed to do and had no intention of surrendering. Besides, Lee Soo-hyun's death had nothing to do with her. Unfortunately, she still could not explain the truth to her father. By now, Tae-su was completely convinced that Ha-bin was responsible for both murders. Just as he was about to forcibly take her to the police station to confess, police cars suddenly arrived outside the house and took Ha-bin away. To Tae-su's shock, Ha-bin herself had called the police. She reported her own father for domestic violence, claiming that he falsely accused her of murder. Tae-su never imagined his daughter would use such a method to avoid confessing. Even so, he remained certain that even if she was not the killer, she was undeniably connected to the murders that occurred that night. When police visited the school to investigate, the homeroom teacher claimed there had been nothing unusual before the girl vanished. But investigators later discovered a photograph inside the girl's home. In the picture were two girls, the victim, Lee Soo-hyun, and another girl whose face had been deliberately scratched out. At the very least, the photo proved that Lee Soo-hyun did have a close friend at school. So why was the teacher lying? After questioning residents near the girl's house, police discovered that following Lee Soo-hyun's disappearance, the homeroom teacher had repeatedly visited the neighborhood searching for her for 3 straight months. Because of this, the police paid the teacher another visit. They discovered that he had already disappeared. Soon after, investigators found another clue in the photograph from Lee Soo-hyun's house. Soo-hyun lived with an alcoholic father who could barely support himself, making it impossible for him to buy his daughter an expensive phone. Yet in the photo, Lee Soo-hyun clearly owned one. So who had actually bought the phone for her? As the investigation continued, police discovered that Lee Soo-hyun, just like Song Min-ah, had once belonged to a group made up of runaway teenagers. The leader of that organization was none other than Choi Young-min. Because of this, Choi Young-min was once again taken into custody by the police. Even so, he stubbornly denied everything and swore he had never killed anyone. He claimed that he only took Lee Soo-hyun in because he pitied her, insisting that without him she would have starved on the streets long ago. However, through psychological pressure and carefully guided questioning, the police managed to make Choi Young-min accidentally reveal Lee Soo-hyun's approximate time of death. So even if Choi Young-min was not the actual killer, one thing became certain. He knew when Lee Soo-hyun died and likely knew the truth behind her death. The police then decided to play along strategically. They released Choi Young-min while secretly monitoring him, hoping he would eventually expose a weakness that could lead them to real evidence. Someone had arranged to meet him in the forest that night. To his surprise, the person waiting for him there was only an ordinary-looking high school girl. Yet Choi Young-min did not dare underestimate her. The first thing the girl asked him was whether he had killed Lee Soo-hyun. The question instantly made Choi Young-min nervous. How did this girl know about Lee Soo-hyun? Was she here to avenge her? But then the girl suddenly began asking about her own mother instead. Only then did Choi Young-min realize who she was, the daughter of the woman he had blackmailed a year earlier. Back then, Choi Young-min had extorted money from Ha-bin's mother by threatening her with something terrible. Ha-bin's true purpose for meeting him tonight was to learn what exactly he had used to blackmail her mother and drive her to suicide. Choi Young-min warned her that she might regret learning the truth. Then he took out his phone and showed her a video. In the footage, Ha-bin's mother was digging a hole deep inside the forest. Lying beside her was Lee Soo-hyun's corpse. At that moment, memories from the past suddenly resurfaced for Ha-bin. It had all started during a birthday party when someone's mother gifted Lee Soo-hyun a new phone. No matter where she went, her best friend always knew her exact location. Even more frightening, her friend somehow knew everything she did. Eventually, Soo-hyun discovered that tracking software had been secretly installed on her phone. Terrified, she immediately shut the phone off and went into hiding. But shortly afterward, she vanished completely. A year later, the police uncovered her remains in the mountains. After investigating, police identified the victim as Lee Soo-hyun and discovered the scratched photograph inside her home. The girl whose face had been scratched out was revealed to be Ha-bin, Lee Soo-hyun's closest friend. Ha-bin had always been quiet and emotionally distant since childhood. But despite everything, she treasured Lee Soo-hyun deeply. When Lee Soo-hyun first disappeared, what she never knew was that before disappearing, Soo-hyun had secretly met with Ha-bin's mother. After her mother returned home from that meeting, something inside her completely changed. For the past year, Ha-bin had not only been searching for Lee Soo-hyun but also investigating the true reason behind her mother's suicide. Eventually, all her clues led to Choi Young-min, the man who had blackmailed her mother. From him, she finally obtained the video used for the blackmail. And the corpse buried in that video was none other than Lee Soo-hyun, the friend she had spent an entire year desperately searching for. Ha-bin still wanted answers about the video, but Choi Young-min no longer intended to tell her anything else. The two quickly fell into another heated argument. Just then, in the middle of the confrontation, a mysterious man wearing a motorcycle helmet suddenly appeared. Late that night, Ha-bin returned home only to find her room completely trashed. The locked drawer in her room had been forced open, and Lee Soo-hyun's phone was gone. She instantly realized her father was responsible. Tae-su had already taken Lee Soo-hyun's phone to the technical investigation department for analysis. To his shock, investigators discovered that his late wife had once installed tracking software on the device. The phone was also linked to Ha-bin's location. Ha-bin had already reached the building entrance when she unexpectedly spotted her father's car nearby. Realizing she was being tracked, she quickly turned off her phone. However, after getting into a taxi, she suddenly noticed that the mysterious helmeted man from the previous night was following her again. Ha-bin stepped out of the taxi, walked directly up to him, and demanded to know who he really was. The man simply turned around and walked away without answering. Later, Ha-bin sent the video of her mother burying Lee Soo-hyun's body to her father. She wanted to know whether Tae-su had known the truth all along. But Tae-su did not know how to explain it to his daughter because it was also the first time he had ever seen the video. It never showed the actual murder. Perhaps his wife accidentally discovered Lee Soo-hyun's corpse and then began suspecting that their daughter was somehow involved. That fear may have driven her to secretly bury the body in the mountains. If that was true, then the person who filmed the video was likely the real killer. Earlier, police had discovered Choi Young-min's footprints in the mountains. Beside them were the footprints of both a woman and a man. Tae-su immediately recognized that the woman's footprints matched his daughter's shoes. As for the male footprints, police quickly identified them as belonging to Lee Soo-hyun's homeroom teacher. Since the teacher had suddenly disappeared recently, the discovery immediately drew police attention. Surveillance footage later revealed that on the night before he vanished, the teacher had left wearing a pair of hiking shoes identical to the footprints found in the forest. Before long, officers located the teacher near a riverside area, but Choi Young-min was nowhere to be seen. In reality, Choi Young-min was hiding among nearby bushes, preparing to escape. However, Tae-su alone noticed him and immediately gave chase. Meanwhile, the police questioned the homeroom teacher and showed him the photograph containing the two girls, asking whether he recognized the girl whose face had been scratched out. But just as the interrogation began, Tae-su deliberately interrupted it. Since there was still no evidence directly linking the teacher to Lee Soo-hyun's death, the police had no choice but to release him after a few basic questions. However, just before leaving, the teacher unexpectedly revealed an important truth himself. He admitted that Lee Soo-hyun's closest friend had always been Ha-bin. She unexpectedly realized that someone else was following her as well. The mysterious person always kept a careful distance, never getting too close or too far away. But when the man removed his helmet, she discovered he was simply a middle-aged stranger she had never seen before. After speaking with him, Ha-bin learned that the man claimed to be Song Min-ah's father. That immediately made her nervous because Ha-bin had already investigated Song Min-ah before and knew she was supposedly an orphan with no father at all. He claimed that Tae-su had secretly released the real killer. What Ha-bin did not know, however, was that her mother's death had nothing to do with Tae-su. In fact, it was indirectly connected to Ha-bin herself. After her younger brother died years ago, her mother fell into severe depression. Later, when Ha-bin met Lee Soo-hyun and finally formed a close friendship, things seemed to improve. But after Lee Soo-hyun suddenly died, her mother's fragile mental state completely collapsed. Her growing suspicion toward Ha-bin slowly drove her insane and forced Ha-bin to drink water mixed with sleeping pills. Fortunately, Tae-su returned home in time and stopped his wife before anything worse happened. After calming down, however, she could not forgive herself for nearly harming her own daughter. Eventually, consumed by guilt, she ended her life by taking an overdose of pills. To keep Ha-bin from discovering the truth, Tae-su lied to her. He claimed that her mother killed Lee Soo-hyun and that he released Choi Young-min only to cover everything up. But Ha-bin refused to believe him. Deep down, she feared that her mother might really have been involved in Lee Soo-hyun's death, so she became determined to confront Choi Young-min personally. The mysterious middle-aged man who had been following her eventually led her straight to Choi Young-min's hiding place. Choi Young-min himself had begun considering surrendering to the police. He finally realized someone was trying to frame him as the murderer. However, just as Choi Young-min prepared to turn himself in, Ha-bin intercepted him on the way. She kidnapped him and tied him up inside an abandoned building, threatening him with a knife while demanding answers about the past. Unable to endure the pressure any longer, Choi Young-min finally began revealing the truth. Tae-su suddenly received a phone call from him claiming that Tae-su's daughter had kidnapped him. Tae-su immediately rushed to the scene, but soon realized other police officers were arriving as well. He had no idea who reported the incident, but he knew he had to reach Choi Young-min before the others did. When Tae-su finally entered the abandoned building, he found only a corpse. Standing beside the body was his daughter, Ha-bin. Tae-su trusted her. After sending her home, he returned to continue investigating the murder. Tae-su then remembered the mysterious man who claimed to be Song Min-ah's father and who had led Ha-bin to Choi Young-min. But after contacting Song Min-ah's relatives, he learned that her real father had died long ago. Determined to uncover the stranger's identity, Ha-bin returned to the police station and pretended she had lost something. She asked officers about the middle-aged man who had once followed her. Since she had previously reported him for stalking, while the officers briefly stepped away, Ha-bin secretly searched the police computer and discovered the man's real name and home address. She later went alone to Yong Du-cheol's house. Inside, she found a blood-stained helmet and, most importantly, her own phone. The sight of the phone instantly brought back memories from the night Song Min-ah died. Her original plan that night had simply been to meet Song Min-ah, return the phone, and ask questions about her mother. But when she arrived at the meeting spot, Song Min-ah never appeared. Instead, a car suddenly began chasing her at high speed. Although she barely escaped alive, she lost her phone during the chase. Only now did Ha-bin realize that the person chasing her that night had been Jang Tae-su. Inside the room, Ha-bin also discovered several envelopes bearing the name of her teacher, Jo Jae-bae. That meant Jang Tae-su and the teacher knew each other. Could Song Min-a's death somehow involve both men? Meanwhile, after returning to Choi Young-min's crime scene, Tae-su unexpectedly found the necklace Ha-bin had dropped there. Even worse, another officer noticed it and immediately took it as evidence. After reviewing Choi Young-min's call records, the police also began suspecting Tae-su because Choi Young-min had contacted him multiple times on the night he died. Tae-su explained that Choi Young-min wanted to surrender and that he kept it secret only because he hoped to claim the arrest himself. Still, some detectives remained suspicious and suggested investigating Tae-su's daughter, Ha-bin. Fortunately, investigators later discovered an audio recording on Choi Young-min's phone proving that before contacting Tae-su, he had already called the police station to surrender. That evidence temporarily cleared Tae-su of suspicion. Tae-su then remembered what Ha-bin had told him earlier. She insisted she only wanted to question Choi Young-min and never intended to kill him. According to her, by the time she turned around, he was already dead. Ha-bin never saw the real killer. The police arriving so quickly meant that someone else had called them beforehand, intending to frame Ha-bin as the murderer. When Tae-su finally confronted Jo Jae-bae, the teacher insisted that the only thing he saw was Ha-bin killing Choi Young-min. His statement immediately threw Tae-su into confusion. But the case suddenly changed direction again. Police discovered new surveillance footage showing that at the exact time of Choi Young-min's death, the female landlord had left the area. Combined with the necklace found at the scene, investigators quickly arrested her as well. The landlady explained that she had actually been kidnapped by Choi Young-min, and that Jo Jae-bae only went there to rescue her. However, not long afterward, Jo Jae-bae voluntarily turned himself in and confessed that he was the one who killed Choi Young-min. After hearing about the confession, Jang Tae-su recalled what happened that night. While following Ha-bin, he had also entered the abandoned building and happened to see Choi Young-min's corpse lying beside her. He hurriedly snapped a photo before escaping because police officers were already arriving at the scene. Now, in order to save Jo Jae-bae, Jang Tae-su decided to use that photo as leverage. He sent the picture to Tae-su and threatened him, demanding that Jo Jae-bae be released. Meanwhile, during a raid on a gang hideout, police unexpectedly discovered a blood-stained key. They also found a locked room inside the building, and the key perfectly fit the lock. After scanning the room, investigators uncovered large amounts of bloodstains and bloody handprints covering the walls. The police could not understand why a place supposedly used by runaway teenagers would contain something resembling a prison cell. Whose blood was left there, and what exactly happened inside that room? Still full of questions, the investigators went upstairs to question the landlord. But the landlady claimed that the first floor had been rented out and that she knew nothing about what the teenagers were doing downstairs. However, officers quickly noticed unfinished meals sitting on the table downstairs. Since the first floor had neither a kitchen nor cooking utensils, the teenagers could not have prepared the food themselves. When questioned further, the landlady finally admitted that she had been providing food for them. She explained that disobedient people were locked inside the basement, and she simply pitied them. But under normal circumstances, anyone would have reported such crimes to the police immediately. Her actions suggested she shared a deeper secret connection with those young people. Instead of pressing her further, Tae-su returned to the police station and began interrogating the runaway teenagers. At first, he suspected that the landlady was romantically involved with one of them, which explained why she protected them. But after extensive questioning, he discovered the truth was completely different. The landlady's actual boyfriend was a respected schoolteacher. While the landlady was away, officers bought snacks for her young son. The child, too innocent to lie, revealed everything he knew. According to him, Choi Young-min, the leader downstairs, constantly abused both his mother and the girls living there. Anyone who disobeyed him would be locked inside the basement prison. Later, a younger man started visiting the house frequently and often went out on dates with his mother. Lee Soo-hyun also seemed to like that man. But for unknown reasons, she was eventually locked inside the basement as well. The boy explained that all of this had secretly been told to him by Song Min-ah. It became increasingly clear that this mysterious man was central to the entire case. The official cause of Song Min-ah's death did not match Jo Jae-bei's confession at all. Police asked him to carefully recall exactly how he killed Song Min-ah and why he did it, but he could not provide a clear explanation. The truth was that on the night Song Min-ah died, Jo Jae-bei had been drinking heavily inside the landlady's room. When he woke up the next morning, he suffered a severe headache, as if he had been drugged. That was when he discovered Song Min-ah lying motionless beside him. At that same moment, the landlady walked into the room. When she saw him trying to call the police, she quickly implied that his father, Young Do-cheol, might be responsible instead. The police presented another piece of evidence. A photograph taken at the crime scene showing a motorcycle with a man and a woman on it. Investigators asked Choi Young-min whether he had seen these two people at the scene. Shortly after, the police received another half of a torn photograph. Tae-su immediately recognized it as the same image previously used to threaten him into releasing Jo Jae-bei. In order to uncover the true killer, Tae-su brought another suspect, Kyung-sung, into the interrogation room where Jo Jae-bei was being questioned. At this point, Tae-su had already seen through part of the truth. Jo Jae-bei's desperate attempt to confess was clearly an effort to protect someone else. And that meant the real murderer was still out there. It was revealed that before Ha-bin knocked out Choi Young-min, both Jo Jae-bei and Kyung-sung had been present at the scene that night. Jo Jae-bei even saw Kyung-sung holding a bloodied knife while fleeing in panic. Meanwhile, Ha-bin, after discovering the truth about her mother's death, stopped investigating Lee Soo-hyun's case and tried to return to a normal school life. But at that moment, the police made another shocking discovery. The necklace found at Choi Young-min's death scene, previously thought to belong to the landlady or Kyung-sung, actually belonged to Ha-bin. Her DNA was found on it. Even more importantly, investigators obtained a complete photograph placing her at the crime scene. What no one realized was that Ha-bin herself had intentionally provided clues to the police. During her meeting with them, she acted nervous on purpose and even knocked over her cup before leaving, allowing investigators to collect her DNA. At the same time, an anonymous tip came in claiming a girl named Ha-bin had been seen near Daewha Mountain that night. The red thread found at the scene also matched something she was wearing. Because of the earlier phone theft case, Song Min-ah and Ha-bin had already been brought to the police station once before. Police then questioned Ha-bin's classmates. At first, they refused to cooperate, insisting she had been with them all day. But under pressure from overwhelming evidence, one student finally admitted that Ha-bin had indeed gone to meet Song Min-ah that night. Ha-bin was brought in for interrogation. She admitted going to Daewha Mountain but insisted she did not kill anyone. They then questioned Song Min-ah's landlady again, but she refused to talk. So investigators turned to her son. According to him, his mother had rented out the first floor to a group of runaway girls. One day, while helping downstairs, he found a strange substance on the table. The people there told him it was candy that would make him happy. He secretly took some home. Later, Song Min-ah came downstairs to meet the landlady. Seeing that she looked unhappy, the boy innocently mixed the candy into her drink. After she drank it, she never woke up again. Because he was a minor, the police did not charge him and released both him and his mother. However, when he returned home, the boy asked his mother why he always forgot things after doing something bad. She told him it was a psychological defense mechanism. But that was a lie. Song Min-ah had not actually died from the drink. Instead, she died after eating poisoned food. Her mother, together with Choi Young-min and Kyung-sung, had been working together in an extortion scheme, making money by blackmailing others. When Song Min-ah discovered their secret, she tried to demand a share of the money and threatened to report them to the police. In response, Kyung-sung pretended to agree, then poisoned her food. Afterwards, she shifted all suspicion onto Young Do-cheol and even framed Jo Jae-bei as the one protecting the truth, leading to his later confession. Only she knew the full truth, and as long as she stayed silent, no one would ever suspect her. The woman even invited the police into her home, behaving strangely calm. Naturally, this raised further suspicion. During another round of questioning, Investigators noticed the boy's mother constantly interrupting the interrogation. So they deliberately sent her away and handed the boy a bag of round candies, asking if he wanted some. Without hesitation, the boy reached out to take them. That single test exposed the lie he had told earlier. He had claimed during interrogation that he put candy into the victim's drink, causing her death, but that version had been taught to him by his mother. From that point, the police began reconstructing the truth behind the murder. 1 year earlier, the mother had imprisoned a girl named Lee Soo-hyun in a basement and forced her to participate in illegal activities. Unable to tolerate what was happening, the young boy secretly helped Lee Soo-hyun escape. After getting away, Lee Soo-hyun hesitated for a long time before finally calling her best friend Ha-bin for help. However, after making that call, she disappeared again. A year later, police discovered Lee Soo-hyun's remains in the mountains. Because of this, investigators believed her death was linked to that final phone call. They later found that surveillance footage of Lee Soo-hyun's movements had been purchased and erased by Ha-bin's mother. Combined with a threatening image discovered on Choi Young-min's phone, police concluded that Ha-bin might be the real killer. The young boy who had once helped Lee Soo-hyun escape revealed a completely different truth. On the night Lee Soo-hyun fled, Kyung-sung found her and tried to persuade her to return. But Lee Soo-hyun had already seen through their crimes and refused. When she turned to leave, Kyung-sung attacked her from behind. At that moment, Ha-bin unexpectedly entered the scene. Kyung-sung quickly hid Lee Soo-hyun's body until Ha-bin left. But when he dragged her out again, Lee Soo-hyun's phone kept ringing, forcing him to hide once more. Then he saw Ha-bin's mother arrive. Mistakenly, she believed her daughter was responsible for Lee Soo-hyun's death. In panic, she took photos of everything she saw and later used those images to frame Ha-bin as the killer. Meanwhile, in prison, Jo Jaeyoung-bae learned that Song Min-ah's death was not what he thought. Disturbed by the truth, he eventually told police everything that happened on the night Choi Young-min died. This meant that the deaths of Song Min-ah, Choi Young-min, and Lee Soo-hyun were all connected to Kyung-sung. Later, Tae-su visited his wife's grave with Ha-bin. There, he unexpectedly discovered several letters his wife had written to Lee Soo-hyun. These letters revealed the real reason behind her suicide. On the night Lee Soo-hyun disappeared, Tae-su's wife had followed Ha-bin after noticing her acting strangely. She saw Ha-bin enter a building and vanish inside. Unable to reach her daughter, she called Lee Soo-hyun's phone, but instead of reaching her, she heard ringing nearby. When she approached, she saw Lee Soo-hyun lying motionless on the ground. She immediately assumed Ha-bin had killed her. Believing this, she placed Lee Soo-hyun's body in her car trunk and secretly transported it to the mountains. Shortly after returning home, she received an anonymous message claiming someone had recorded her disposing of the body. Desperate, she searched for the surveillance footage from the night Lee Soo-hyun disappeared and discovered Kyung-sung's presence in the recording. But when she confronted her, Kyung-sung told her something even more shocking, that he had seen Ha-bin kill Lee Soo-hyun. At a gathering years earlier, Ha-bin's mother was pushed into despair and eventually took her own life. After learning the truth, Ha-bin was completely devastated. When Kyung-sung was called in for police interrogation. Ha-bin kidnapped her son and took him to an abandoned place. Hours later, Ha-bin returned to the police station, just as Kyung-sung was coming downstairs. She pulled out a knife and tried to attack her, but Tae-su stopped her in time, sacrificing himself to prevent a tragedy. Seeing her father willing to protect her even at the cost of his own injury, Ha-bin finally let go of years of resentment. Police later found Kyung-sung's son safe in a park. At the station, Kyung-sung still tried to shift all responsibility onto Choi Young-min, believing she had covered her tracks perfectly. But she was wrong. Ha-bin's mother had never destroyed the surveillance evidence, and her son had already exposed her involvement in the murder. With no way out, Kyung-sung was finally cornered. After resolving the case and clearing his daughter's name, Tae-su resigned from the police force. At home, he gave Ha-bin a wristwatch and prepared a birthday cake for her. Though father and daughter still did not say much, the distance between them had finally disappeared. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and drop a heart if you love the series.